Hello everyone and welcome to the 7th weekly update for Citybound. Last week I asked you to suggest building names for Citybound. You sent me almost 3,000 of them and most of them are hilarious, so I consider this a great success. Thanks for your help. I will show you some of the suggestions as soon as they are in the game. Now for this week's update, let me first explain some of the new behind the scenes simulation and then I'll show you how you can play with it. So the core of Citybound will be a resource management system. On top of that there will be the actual city simulation, which will be a hybrid of statistical and agent-based models. The statistical model will be used for city planning and demand calculation. The agent-based model will then try to imperfectly implement and realize the statistical planning and demands. Now this is all still very abstract and I only implemented the statistical part yet, so let me explain what I did with that in more detail. First I created the resource management system that keeps track of both city-wide resources and demands as well as resources and demands of individual households and businesses. Then I added city dynamics, so now new households would be created based on the current demands. Then I connected the whole thing to the procedural building system by implementing a construction planner that would create new buildings for immigrating households and businesses, or that would move them into existing buildings if there was space left in them. This was kind of tricky because mixed-use buildings can, for example, accommodate different kinds of households and businesses. I ended up with a very generic system that allows for all kinds of scenarios. For example, you could theoretically have a building type with residential space, office space, space for a food merchant and space for a factory, all in one single building. This system can of course also be modded. After this I added some simulation parameters like daily food consumption per citizen or products produced per factory worker per day. And I spent a long time doing some initial balancing and fine-tuning of these parameters to create realistic growth patterns for the city. All of this happens behind the scenes, only the high-level production and demands are visible so far, but let me show you how to build a whole city with these new systems in place. So let's take a look at the statistical model in action. Over here we see a whole bunch of information, most importantly the current demands for different types of buildings and the different resources. We have an initial set of demands that is generated by neighboring cities. You don't see these neighboring cities yet, so you just have to imagine them. But these initial demands are actually very important because they allow us to bootstrap the city in the first place. So let's start with the residential demand that we have over here. That comes from the fact that our neighboring cities need work. So let's zone some residential area. If we wait a little, people should move in, buildings should be constructed. There they are. We can see now that the demand for residential goes down and that there is even some space left over which can be used in the future. We now see that there are also these light blue colored bars, which means that there are now also demands that come from our own city, not just the surrounding cities. And we can use that to inform our decisions on what to do next. So, as we can see, there's a lot of oversupply on work. We export a lot of work, in fact almost all of our work. So let's create some factories in our town so we have some workplaces for ourselves. And there's our first factory. So that should now produce some new demand for work. And it does. What we see now is that the food sale demands are flashing in red, telling us that the neighboring cities and our own city together don't have enough food shops. We don't have any food shops yet, so let's add a commercial zone. And there are some shops and even also some offices, which should in turn generate some new work. And we see there was a lot of demand for residents, but now we have another problem. We don't actually produce enough food, and neither do our neighboring cities. And we also have the problem that there isn't enough workforce for new shops or factories, but to fix that, we first have to fix our food problem. So let's add some fields. Over here. Now, when the farmers start working, we should see that we are now producing plenty of food, so we can now sustain some new citizens, but we have to, of course, give them a place to live first. So let's add some more residential zone here. And instantly it is filled out. Meanwhile, some new farms appeared, and let's just keep adding some space for living. Also, there's a new factory which should generate even more demand for workers. Let's add some more. Oh, now we don't have enough food again, so let's add some more space for agriculture. There should be plenty of food. Now hopefully some new people will move in. Yes, they will. So we need more residential area. And then also some shops. Which can be over here. So now we need to add some more agriculture. Which allows more people to move in again. commercial zone over here. Now we're starting to have a problem because we are already importing a lot of raw materials from our neighboring city. It won't be able to give us anymore, but we actually need that to create products. So we see that we have a production bottleneck both for raw materials and products. We ourselves don't have any way yet to produce raw materials. In the final game we would have to either construct some mining facilities or add some new connections to neighboring cities so we get a new set of demands from them. But for now this will be the limit of our city, or the limiting factor of our city. And let's take a look. We are at 2,200 people, somewhere around that. And as you can see, just because of one resource bottleneck, actually your whole city can stop to grow. Obviously, the new systems still have a lot of limitations, and there are many missing gameplay features before it would really be playable. But I had to start somewhere. Hopefully things will start to make more sense the more I progress. So that's it for this time. Next time I will start implementing the agent-based side of the simulation, by connecting the traffic simulation, which I disabled for today's video, with the systems I showed you today. As always, please leave me your comments and feedback here in the comment section or wherever else I posted this. If you are a YouTube commenter, please make sure you have replies to your comments enabled. Some of the people asking questions had them disabled, which was really frustrating. So, thanks for watching, see you all next week.